Orcs Must Die Unchained, Arc Lord 2, and Terra kick off Halloween events. Setnenkor rises from the dead. Skyforge shows us how to become more godlike, and Arcade increases real estate in its first post-launch major update. What's happening, guys? James Ballon here with MMOs.com with a quick weekly recap for MMO news and announcements the week ending October 20th, 2014. And Hazard Ops, showing off its latest update, starts off this week's news. The new update is called Full Metal Moon, and as the name implies, players are being sent to the moon to stop a legendary order of assassins from blasting a nasty virus into the Earth's atmosphere. Go figure. Just like any other major updates to Hazard Ops, or ZMR for that matter, its North American counterpart, a couple of new maps will be introduced, covering several different game modes. New weapons and costumes, as well as a new Capture the Flag mode for PvP, will be available on 11 maps. If you're ready to take your massive enemy slaughtering spree to the moon, then be ready for this latest update, available this week on the 23rd. Next up, Orcs Must Die Unchained brings in a hefty size update this past week. Update 1.6 gets creepy and crawly, according to the patch notes, bringing in better matchmaking, trap and gear updates, a new map called Highlands, and a new hero named Ancestor, along with the creepy side of Cliffside Clash, just in time for Halloween. Ancestor is an arcane damage hero whose primary attack deals damage at the cost of mana, but also grants him a portion of that damage done as health. The new map called Highlands is a 3-lane map with an underground mining path, a river winding through, and an imposing set of fortresses make for a game with a much larger scale this time around. And on top of that, they've done a Halloween makeover to Cliffside Clash that has a new dark and dreary feel to it. They've tweaked the matchmaking a bit so it waits a little longer to find human players. However, as time goes on, it allows a larger skill range of players in. So you might be able to play more matches with human players, but sometimes you're going to get players with a higher skill level than you. I'd say this patch brings in a lot of much needed changes, so head over to the MMO site post and check out the video for all the details. Also last week, the second expansion for Star Trek Online, Delta Rising, officially launched. Delta Rising is set 32 years after the events of Star Trek Voyager, and brings players once again to the Delta Quadrant and reintroduces them to key members of the Voyager cast, which, as always, are voiced by the original cast members. The new launch video for the expansion you see playing here gives you a nice example of the voiceover dialogue from the original Voyager cast and how it fits nicely into the game, like it does always. This expansion also increases the player level cap to 60, which is the first level cap for the game in 4 years. It's kind of crazy. This new level cap allows players to acquire a completely new tier of ships, gear, and officers. Delta Rising is now available free for players, along with a brand new operations pack available for purchase. Well, it looks like our bi-weekly dose of My.com news came in this past week, starting with Skyforge with Volume 1 of their Dev Diary series. Volume 1 covers the Orders of Aeolion, in that every god needs followers, and the celestial beings of Skyforge are no exception. The order system is the third source of power in the game, and works as players start doing enough heroic stuff in the game to start gaining followers. Now, followers begin to erect statues dedicated in your honor in the Hall of Greatness. Your primary followers are going to become your heroes that you send out to complete missions, and each one has its own unique profession. So, for certain missions you might send a healer rather than, say, an architect, depending on the situation. The more followers you gain and the more your reputation gets spread by your followers and heroes, the more powerful you become. Kinda like Clash of the Titans, actually. It's a pretty cool mechanic in Skyforge, and learning about it in the Dev Diary, hopefully this becomes a regular series, makes me that much more excited to play the game. The legendary German coupe BMW M3 E92 shows up as the latest car in World of Speed, with a top speed of 286 km per hour and acceleration to 100 km per hour in just 3.9 seconds. This beast was born and bred to run on the Nürburgring, which is one of the most challenging tracks in the world, home to basically all performance testing from all car manufacturers. But in any case, with numbers like that, this Beamer is ready to take on any track in World of Speed, and I myself, I'm just ready to take on World of Speed in general, so hurry up, beta. In more My.com news, Armored Warfare published an all-new blog post this past week revealing the first details about tank crews and commanders, which allows players to optimize their battle experiences further than ever before. According to the site post, in Armored Warfare, the vehicles you drive in battle have their own crew depending on the model and type of vehicle, and just as in real life, each crew member has his own specialty. A gunner in the artillery wouldn't necessarily be as skilled as manning the gun in a main battle tank, for example. The same thing goes with the commander, which is going to be the most important person for improving the performance of the armored vehicle. Alright, so I'm going to start agreeing with some of you guys that have mentioned this in the past recaps. This game is starting to look more and more like World of Tanks or War Thunder. I just hope they start showing us some stuff that makes us feel otherwise. Next up, Tryon Worlds announced to its ArcheAge players last week that the northern continent of Aurora will become available in a massive update set to launch really soon. 6 new zones will become available with the launch of Aurora, 4 of which will be available for a guild to claim and rule from the safety of their player-built castles. Plus 30% more housing space will open up in these 4 claimable zones as well. Players will also see new vehicles, a new dungeon, new elite enemies, and field bosses to take down for great rewards. The new dungeon, Serpentis, is a in-game dungeon intended for 10 players as the hardest dungeon in the game so far. The new vehicles include the Farm Wagon, which is perfect for construction and carrying materials, and the Steamfish Submarine makes its debut, giving players the option to do some underwater exploring. All this and even more is headed to ArcheAge on November 4th, so not too far off, and at that point it'll become QAge again. Well, it looks like it's that time of year when most free-to-play MMORPGs put together their Halloween-themed events and dungeons, and Terra Rising celebrates with the Revenge of Caprima. Starting now until November 4th, players can return to the fan-favorite Fane of Caprima dungeon to take on the great goat demon Caprima, who is now tougher than ever, but at the same time drops better rewards than ever as well. In fact, several events favored by the players are returning this year for Halloween in Terra, so head over to the MMO site post to see what other events you might want to hop into. ArcLord 2 also prepares for the spooky season, and for the occasion, both capital cities are claiming the best Halloween decorations. Starting today and lasting till the 11th of November, events are going on in-game that have players collecting pumpkin seeds to trade for some really cool-looking jack-o'-lantern hats that come in 3 different colors. And like I said, there are plenty of Halloween events going on in all your favorite free-to-play games, so head over to MMOHuts.com/news and find plenty more. In other news from Webzen, starting Tuesday, November 4th, any player with an active Webzen account will be able to access the game's 7 Core. Looks like they're deciding to bring it back. If you didn't get a chance to try it before it shut down the first time, it's a sci-fi mixed with fantasy MMORPG with an interesting mounted combat mechanic sort of along the lines of Black Gold Online. Starting out, you'll have access to 3 different races and 3 different classes, each with their own racial abilities and skill sets. That, plus the unique combat abilities the mounts and weapons offer, give the game a new level of strategy, according to the press release anyway. Hopefully Webzen can bring the game back to life successfully this time. Paradox Interactive and Paradox North celebrated the 1-year anniversary of Magicka Wizard Wars this past week. The game released in early access 1 year ago and now has a community of close to 1 million registered users, all of whom will receive a gift of a special imp skin, which are the little monstrosities that help you in matches but more often end up killing on accident. If you purchase one of the Founders Packs along the way, you'll receive color versions of the imp skin to match your Founders robes, so, you know, they're easier to identify, so you don't continue to accidentally kill them. Players who log into the game between October 15th and the 22nd will receive a special anniversary imp skin, which is available from the in-game store for only 1 crown. This past weekend marked the 2014 League of Legends World Championship Final held in Korea with a $1 million prize pool. SK Telecom took the prize last year. This year, it was a fight between Starhorn Royal Club and Samsung White. The final match, however, was a short-lived hope for SH Royal Club because Game 4 resembled Game 1 in terms of dominance for Samsung White, who never gave an inch and took the entire prize. Samsung White showed no real weaknesses through the entire tournament. GG, well played. Next up, it looks like Bakasura was the Smite God of Choice to be reworked this time around. Although the new model looks pretty badass, kind of like Bakasura ate some roids instead of minions, or actually, roided out minions is more like it. I kind of like the old model just fine, especially with all the cool skins that worked well with it. He kind of looks like Baraka from Mortal Kombat now, in a way. I'll have to start calling him Barakasura, I guess. But finally, for our last bit of news, LEGO Minifigures Online released a brand new video and update showcasing Space World. Fight leg-biting space insects, weird mushroom creatures, aliens, and their queen with laser guns in this update. The video you see playing here in the background gives players the unique look at what players can expect if they decide to launch themselves into the stars and join up with the Railhead Rangers to take down some aliens and their queen. So yeah, this game is a little bit more towards kids, but it still offers some cool nostalgia for those who had a childhood with Legos, and the Space World helps it that much more. But anyway, guys, that's about all the major MMO news and announcements of this week. Don't forget, Swordsman Online is about to launch its first expansion this week on the 23rd. If you're looking for something new to try, should be worth it. If you're looking for more information about the news featured in this week's recap, check the links in the description below. Otherwise, head over to MMOHuts.com/news. Feel free to discuss the news in the comments below, or head over to MMOHuts.com/forums. But until next time, guys, that's going to be it for me. I'm James Blonde. See you out there, gamers.